Are you the chosen one? Before we even open the book, I will undoubtedly say, yes, you are. But it requires action. We are all indwelt with the divine gift from God, a perfect spirit entity that rests within us, helping us to make our choices. But these are free will choices. We've been talking a little bit about the chosen people, the chosen one, and there are no chosen people, folks, because what would that even mean? If a chosen people were somehow given some sort of spiritual birthright, now they no longer have free will to make decisions between good and evil. Every choice that they make is perfect. Well, we don't experience that from any group on the entire planet. So that concept is not a reality. This chosen people that God wants to be the heads or rulers of the world. It is about individuals who are ready to accept the fact that they have a divine adjuster. And that group of individuals will be the chosen people, but because they have earned it, there's no favoritism, there's no royal roads, and those are concepts we want to wipe out. So we're going to look at, it does talk about a chosen people here in the Urantia book, but you'll see why it mentions that, and it doesn't contradict with that fact that there are no royal roads to the divine, no favoritism. You want to earn everything that you receive in the universe, not just by some birthright. Okay, let's look at this. Urantia's, we're going to look at these two papers. They're very important and interesting. Page 597. Urantia's post-bestowal age. This is the planetary mortal epoch. So this is a planet's progression and evolution that it goes as a whole, because we're always dealing with on the collective level and the individual level when we talk about spirituality. Okay. The bestowal son is the Prince of Peace. He arrives with the message, peace on earth and goodwill among men. On normal worlds, this is a dispensation of worldwide peace. The nations no more learn war. But such salutary influences do not attend the coming of your bestowal son, Christ Michael. So we had our bestowal son, but it was out of order. Normally, every planet gets a bestowal son, a paradise origin being, and it doesn't necessarily have to be their local universe creator. That's rare that the local universe creator functions in that role, but we did, and it was out of order because everything is out of order on this planet due to the rebellions that occurred. Urantia is not proceeding in the normal order. Your world is out of step in the planetary procession. Your master, when on Earth, warned his disciples that his advent would not bring the usual reign of peace on Urantia. He distinctly told them that there would be wars and rumors of wars, and that nation would rise against nation. At another time, he said, think not that I have come to bring peace on earth. Even on normal evolutionary worlds, the realization of the worldwide brotherhood of man is not an easy accomplishment. On a confused and disordered planet like Urantia, such an achievement requires much longer time and necessitates far greater effort. Unaided social evolution can hardly achieve such happy results on a spiritually isolated sphere. Religious revelation is essential, okay? That's what this is. This is religious revelation, and it's not a revealed religion is a religion of love. Evolved religions are about fear. To the realization of the brotherhood on Urantia. While Jesus has shown the way to the immediate attainment of spiritual brotherhood, the realization of the social brotherhood on your world depends much on the achievement of the following personal transformations in planetary adjustment. So they're telling us, how do we bring this peace upon earth? 1. Social fraternity. Multiplication of international, interracial social contacts and fraternal associations through travel, commerce, and competitive play. Development of common language and the multiplication of multilinguists. The racial and national interchange of students, teachers, industrialists, and religious philosophers. So we have that to some extent. Intellectual cross-fertilization. Brotherhood is impossible on a world whose inhabitants are so primitive that they fail to recognize the folly of unmitigated selfishness. Still have that unmitigated selfishness. There must occur an exchange of national or racial literature. Each race must become familiar with the thought of all races. Each nation must know the feelings of all nations. Ignorance breeds suspicion, and suspicion is incompatible with the essential attitude of sympathy and love. And we have this sort of isolationist thing. You know, you got your North Koreans. I mean, look at your Vladimir Putin doing war with his neighbors. So that's not understanding them. If you understood them, then you wouldn't have an ethical awakening. Only ethical consciousness can unmask the immortality of human intolerance and the sinfulness of fratricidal strife. Only moral conscience can condemn the evils of national envy and racial jealousy. See, we haven't had our ethical awakening, but this is what we're trying to do here, getting this out. And so, by the way, like and subscribe. Try to get this out. And we're going to get this ethical. This is what people need to be dwelling their minds on. You are already choosing to dwell your mind on this. So you have already begun this awakening. But it just needs to get out more. Look at this, racial jealousy. So we want to delete those types of terms. Living the golden rule, okay? Political wisdom. Emotional maturity is essential to self-control. All right, look at that, emotional maturity. So that's where that stabilized neural function comes in. Your emotions aren't all out of whack. You have this balance and poise, and you can utilize self-control. But now let's read on. Only emotional maturity will ensure the substitution of international techniques of civilized adjudication for the barbarous arbitrament of war. Wise statesmen will sometimes work for the welfare of humanity even while they strive to promote the interests of their national or racial groups. Selfish political sagacity is ultimately suicidal. Okay? So you have to ask, if your politician is selfish, look at it's ultimately suicidal, destructive of all those enduring qualities which ensure planetary group survival. So that's just a huge, huge key right there. Look at not only it's this emotional maturity, but you're trying to work against this arbitrament of war. Look at they can do both. They can work for the entire globe while they're still having their national sovereignty and working for their sovereignty as well. And that's what we need to understand. It doesn't need to be one or the other. That's why we need one world government within. It's like if the world was like the states. That's what you have to picture it as. Each state, Texas, they're going to work to make their budget well and all that sort of thing. But they're still part of the United States. The whole world needs to be like that, where each country is working and it has its boundaries and that sort of thing, and it can elect its own leaders and rulers, but we're all part of one world. It's a perfect analogy. Spiritual insight. The brotherhood of man is, after all, predicated on the recognition of the fatherhood of God. The quickest way to realize the brotherhood of man on Urantia is to effect the spiritual transformation of present-day humanity. The only technique for accelerating the natural trend of social evolution is that of applying spiritual pressure from above, thus augmenting moral insight while enhancing the soul capacity of every mortal to understand and love every other mortal. Mutual understanding and fraternal love are transcendent civilizers and mighty factors in the worldwide realization of the brotherhood of man. You cannot have it unless people are on the same page spiritually. It's not force or coercing them to do it, but it is a pressure. What do they call it? Something from above. Spiritual pressure from above, okay? So people that are sort of like lighthearted, or maybe not lighthearted is the way, but anytime that, oh no, that doesn't sit well with me, and then they just reject something instantly because it's not just like already like a confirmation bias, for instance. Sometimes you need to be shaken up a little bit. Sometimes you need to sit there uncomfortably and read through a 2,000 page book, right? You're going to have the insights and you're going to have the profound measure that's going to change your whole life, but you have to sit there and uncomfort for a little bit. So that idea that everything needs to be just like this sort of confirmation bias of what you already know, that is not how things work. There needs to be this spiritual pressure from above. Now, does that? It's ultimately up to you on whether you take it or not. But you don't want to do sophistry. Sophistry would be like easing somebody in for 3 months and then try to pull the wool over their eyes or something like that. No, at a certain point, the truth hammer has to drop. If you could be transplanted from, now here's the quote that is really important. If you could be transplanted from your backward and confused world to some normal planet now in the post-Basola Sun age, you would think you had been translated to the heaven of your traditions. You would hardly believe that you were observing the normal evolutionary workings of a mortal sphere of human habitation. These worlds are in the spiritual circuits of the realm, and they enjoy all the advantages of the universe broadcasts and the reflectivity service of the super universe. So you literally think that, I mean, you even begin to see midwayers, your vision changes so that the beings can see these angelic beings. So you're going to have angelic beings around. You're going to have a Urantia temple, which is a semi-spiritual place, literally made from materials that aren't from this planet. So, it's amazing what transformation could occur here. We would think that we were in heaven because our concept of heaven is such limited that we would think this normal world. Okay, now here's where we get into this chosen people thing. Post teacher son man. The son of the next order to arrive on the average evolutionary world are the Trinity teacher sons. See, at these different ages, various beings arrive. The divine sons of the Paradise Trinity. Again, we find Urantia out of step with its sister spheres, and that your Jesus has promised to return. That promise he will certainly fulfill, but no one knows whether his second coming will precede or follow the appearance of magisterial or teacher sons of Urantia. Again, out of step. The teacher sons come in groups to the spiritual worlds. A planetary teacher son is assisted and supported by 70 primary sons, 12 secondary sons, and 3 of the highest and most experienced of the Supreme Order of Daenals, another group of beings. This core will remain for some time on the world, long enough to effect the transition from evolutionary ages to the era of enlightened life. That's what we're trying to go for here. Not less than 1,000 years of planetary time, and often considerably longer. That's the time scale that we're dealing with. This mission is a Trinity contribution to the antecedent efforts of all the divine personalities who have ministered to an inhabited world. So they're working right now, even though we haven't received this, quote, teacher son. Trinity teacher son. The revelation of truth is now extended to the central universe and to paradise. Now, this is interesting because we're getting this revelation now. This book reveals central universe and paradise, even though that we haven't attained this level. The races are becoming highly spiritual. A great people has evolved, and a great age is approaching. The educational, economic, and administrative systems of the planets are undergoing radical transformations. New values and relationships are being established. Look at this. The kingdom of heaven is appearing on earth. That's the potential that we have. And the glory of God is being shed abroad in the world. And why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't we want to celebrate that? Well, the reason that we wouldn't want to is because we've been programmed from birth to be anti-God and to be anti-God. This is the dispensation when many mortals are translated from among the living. As the era of Trinity teacher son progresses, see, they're translating, which we talked about. That's when you're not dying, but you're leaving the planet consciously, and you're not going through material death. The spiritual allegiance of the mortals of time becomes more and more universal. You see, that's what we're going for. One God, universe, cosmic brothers and sisters, trillions of inhabited worlds, all in one family. Natural death becomes less frequent. Hold on a sec. Natural death becomes less frequent as the adjusters increasingly fuse with their subjects during the lifetime in the flesh. The planet eventually is classed as of the primary modified order of mortal ascension. Life during this era is pleasant and profitable. Degeneracy and the antisocial end products of the long evolutionary struggle have been virtually obliterated. All right, they're informing people that, hey, genetics plays a role here, folks. Be very careful about who you're marrying and making offspring with. People that are imprisoned are 3 to 6 more. People that have parents that are imprisoned are 3 to 6 times more likely to be imprisoned themselves, and that is both from social factors and also genetic factors. The length of life approaches 500 years on Urantia. Wow, look at that, folks. That is what humans have the potential to live because their diets are perfect, right? They only eat fresh, living foods, living fruits and vegetables. We're living beings and we need living food. You're eating trapped light at that point with no downside, unlike our food. And the reproductive rate of racial increase is intelligently controlled, and the reproductive rate of racial increase is all right. So they're they're saying intelligent control of the population. They're not saying, hey, we need to do overpopulation and do more pollution like we have an issue with on this planet, and it's just skyrocketing. Again, they're educating themselves, they're making wise choices for the greater good of the whole, and in doing so they're experiencing a heavenly life here. An entirely new order of society has arrived. There are still great differences among mortals, right? Not everybody is the same, but the state of society more nearly approaches the ideals of social brotherhood and spiritual equality. Representative government is vanishing, and the world is passing under the rule of individual self control. Look at that. See, they don't need to have laws at that point. But you can't be, right now, libertarianism would not work here, folks. Libertarianism would work here. We don't need to have big government on these worlds because we know what to do. We know how to act. Here and now, folks, we need to keep people under control with big government. It's just not everybody's at the same level where they would just do the right thing. The function of government is chiefly directed to collective tasks, social administration, and economic coordination. The golden age is coming on apace. The temporal goal of the long and intense planetary evolutionary struggle is in sight. The reward of the ages is soon to be realized. The wisdom of God is about to be manifest. The physical administration of this world during this age requires about 1 hour each day on the part of every adult individual. That is equivalent of 1 Urantia hour. That's all they have to do for work. The planet is in close touch with the universe affairs, and its people scan the latest broadcasts with the same keen interest you now manifest in the latest editions of your newspapers. So it's cut off for us, these broadcasts, because we're isolated here, and they don't want this rebellion to spread, okay? The races are occupied with 1,000 things of interest, unknown. Look at 1,000 unknown things that they're doing. That is just mind-blowing. We don't even know what type of activities. There's spiritual activities and everything. Increasingly, true planetary allegiance to the Supreme Being grows. Wait, where's this part about? Okay, wait, I'm skipping a little bit here. Okay. All right. It was of conclusion on the terminal mission of the teacher's sons, at least that would be the chronology on the normal world, that John wrote. I saw a new heaven and a new earth and the new Jerusalem coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a princess adorned for the prince. So he had a vision of one of these worlds, all right? But listen, this is the same renovated earth, the advanced planetary stage, that the old seer envisioned when he wrote, for as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, so shall you and your children survive, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me. So that's like the biblical way of saying that they're just reaching this new age. Says the Lord, is the mortals of such an age who are described as a chosen generation. Quote, that is your chosen people, folks. No one else, not the Jewish people, not the Muslims, Christians, the whites, the blacks, anything like that, folks. The people that are ushering this age of light and life are the chosen generation, but they had to earn it. That's individuals acting, chosen ones acting as a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, an exalted people, not just because they were born. They had to do it. They had to do all those things that we talked about, being politically minded towards goodness, not selfishness. And you shall show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. No matter what the special natural history of individual planet may be, ours being twisted, no difference whether a realm has been wholly loyal, tainted with evil, or cursed by sin, no matter what the antecedents may be, sooner or later, the grace of God, see, this is the good news, and the ministry of angels will usher in the day of the advent of the Trinity teacher sons, and their departure, following their final mission, will inaugurate this superb era of light and life. Okay, so there's no failure here. It's just a matter of when. All the worlds of Satania can join in the new hope of one who wrote, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heaven and new earth, wherein dwells righteousness. Wherefore, beloved, seeing you. This is, I don't know, these Bible type things. I don't like the language. It's all too whenceforth-ish and this and that. But anyways, I like the more clear language in the Urantia book. The departure of the teacher son corps at the end of their first or some subsequent reign ushers in the dawn of the era of light and life, the threshold of the transition from time to the vestibule of eternity. Wow. The planetary realization of this era of light and life far more than equals the fondest expectations of Urantia mortals who have entertained no more far-seeing concepts of the future life than those embraced within religious beliefs which depict heaven as immediate destiny in the foul dwelling place of surviving mortals. All right, folks, so there it is. Chosen one, yes. Go forth, do it, be it. Chosen people, well, we need a lot of chosen ones in order to become the chosen people, but God will take anybody that's willing, any participant, no matter what level they're at, no matter what they've done in their past. You can wipe that away, and let's carry on and make those good choices, and the goodness and glory will come to us.